something. But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murderers allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant people, but dumb as hell when it came to policy and common sense. And they allowed people from all over the world, from the Congo. They opened up prisons in the Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked. And from all over, South America, not just South America. You know, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever. But we took.
I'm still laughing about this. So they stalled the escalator for Donald Trump as he was going to make his speech at the UN. They mess his teleprompter and the guy just goes on the loose. By the way, I support Trump. I supported him in the other election. He's the only world leader who calls bullshit for what it is. I know I'm going to get bashing for this, but I like the guy. When the Americans were with this he nonsense, the LGBTQ stuff, you know, he's the only one who came and said, you know what, two genders, he and she, all these other crap, just do away with it. Anyway, that's not the purpose of this video. I just want to highlight his speech. I love what he spoke about. I love his speech. When he talked about the UN being one of the biggest organizations but doing nothing, he was so right. Look at Congo. How many years has Congo been fighting? Instability in Congo just because of the minerals. Or is it because it's in Africa? No one cares about what happens in Africa. What has the UN done? Actually, they have extended instability in Congo because of all the minerals in those countries. Rapes every day. Villages are touched. There's no food. You need to see what is happening in Congo. I know we are talking about free Palestine, but guys, Congo and Sudan, you know what's happening in North and South Sudan? Total instability. A stable country has been made unstable. What has the UN done? We have regional leaders being part of that war right now. So when Donald Trump called out the UN, I was so happy. And you know what, guys? He talked about autism. Oh my God. I've talked on all my videos. Just watch all my videos here. I've talked about vaccination, big pharma, vaccination for population control and for making sure human beings are stuck on particular medications. Autism, being linked to vaccinations. He talked about it and I was so happy. There's no world leader who is going to stand on such a platform and talk about it. That's why I support Trump. Oh my goodness. The final one. He talked about climate change, the global warming. These elites getting into boardrooms and deciding that the world is becoming a menace because of emissions. And now they coin the carbon credits and excessive emissions of animals. We need to vaccinate our cows. Trump talked about it in the UN. I was so happy. I was so happy. This is, you know what? And people are criticizing his speech. It is because you're brainwashed. You're stuck in a particular place. You've refused to put common sense. You're thinking in terms of skin color, race, and you stopped reasoning as a human being. Let me tell you something, and I'm sure people are talking science. Who gave you that science? Science is controlled. Science is bought, my friends. You need to come to my profile and watch my videos of the New World Order and understand the way the world is managed. You need to wake up, humanity. I don't entirely like Trump. I know he doesn't care shit about Africa. He cares about America, and it's okay. He's not even our president. But the fact that he can call out bullshit and call things as they are, as our president, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. By the way, you know what? I love this speech.
Donald Trump has kicked Kenya where it hurts the most, and President Ruto is the one forced to absorb the blow on behalf of the country. In a statement delivered at Quantico to top U.S. military officials, Trump declared that it is not their responsibility of American forces to protect foreign nations, such as Kenya and Somalia. His focus, he said, would shift inwards towards fighting unspecified enemies from within.
Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on.
Now, Trump's words may have sounded broad and abstract, but in Nairobi, Kenya, alarm bells went off. Now, Kenyans saw it as a red flag. They interpreted it as a warning of reduced US military support. They saw the risk of being locked out of intelligence feeds, stripped of logistical muscle, and exposed in regional security operations where the US has historically been a major player. It was the clearest signal yet that Trump has no interest in continuing the kind of warm engagement Joe Biden showed Ruto during his tenure. But the timing couldn't sting more. Just days earlier, Ruto publicly criticized the US for its half-hearted support of Kenya's police-led multinational security support mission in Haiti. Ruto accused Washington of failing to deliver adequate logistical backing. He cited the use of broken-down second-hand American vehicles, the lack of critical support, and the death of a Kenya police officer towing one of those vehicles in Port-au-Prince as symptoms of a larger problem.
I must commend the United States. They did make available logistics, vehicles, but unfortunately most of the vehicles were second-hand vehicles, and therefore they broke down a lot many times. And in fact, it put our personnel in great danger when they broke down in very dangerous places. But at least they stepped up. We didn't, however, get any useful support from any other quarter.
In response, Christopher Landau, the US Deputy Secretary of State, made Washington's position clear. He insisted that the US cannot continue to carry the lion's share of the financial burden.
The United States has long been a partner and a friend to Haiti. However, we cannot continue to bear the lion's share of the financial burden in addressing the hemisphere's security threat. That is why we call on all UN member states to support the creation of a GSF and UN support office and to provide the resources required to stabilize Haiti.
Translation: Kenya was asking for more than America was willing to give. Then came the uppercut. The UN Security Council passed a new resolution backed by the US, authorizing the creation of a new militarized force, the Gang Suppression Force GSF. Now, this new outfit, packed with police, soldiers, and civilians, gets a 12-month mandate to tame Haiti's gangland chaos. And the sad news is, Kenya's led officers will no longer be in charge. The Kenya police officers deployed to Haiti will remain on the ground, but their role is being downgraded. For a country that has been a US darling, basking in Biden's 2024 designation as a major non-NATO ally with over $90 million in aid since independence, this feels like a demotion wrapped in a participation trophy.
Requested by Haiti, this new force would consist of more than 5,500 personnel, more than 5 times the size of the current MSS mission, and would operate under a mandate authorized by Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. This mandate would empower the force to proactively target gangs and restore security to Haiti, while ensuring it has the appropriate tools to succeed.
So, should President Ruto be hitting the panic button? You see, for decades, the US has been the geopolitical sugar daddy, pumping over $90 million in economic assistance and crucial military aid into Kenya, culminating in the Biden administration major non-NATO ally status. Now, this was Kenya's golden ticket for easy access to US military tech and a loud signal of a strategic partnership. However, Trump's America First shift, which puts US borders and domestic issues first, would choke off funding for key Kenyan security operations.
Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first.
Now, this includes support for KDF's fight against Al-Shabaab and even the US military presence in Kenya. Now, this isn't just a diplomatic insult. It weakens Kenya's ability to handle regional threats. Now, the momentum from Ruto's 2024 state visit with Biden, which promised stronger trade and security ties, is now hitting a wall. If Trump cuts back on US involvement in Africa, Kenya will have to adjust quickly. It can either move closer to US trade interests like AGOA and private investments, or look for new global partners, which could upset Washington, by the way. Neither option.
America under Trump will have no time for Africa. Their only interest in Africa is that you keep your Africans at home. You saw what he said to Nigerians. I like the people of Nigeria. Many of you are very clever. You become very good professionals, but please take your professional training to Nigeria and serve your country. You are not going to see much attention given to Africa, let alone Kenya. Secondly, Trump is coming when AGOA, the African Growth Opportunity Act, is winding down in 2025. So the best that can happen is a limited extension with new conditions of duty-free, quota-free access to American market for products coming out of our EPZ zones. Otherwise, we're going to see a lot of shedding of jobs that have been sustained over the past 20 to 25 years around AGOA. Number three, America is going through a phase where 20 years ago, it supported globalization. Let people who are more efficient in labor relations produce things, and then we bring them to America while we produce the superior technology things. In the last 10 years, it went what they call nearshoring, that instead of importing parts from China and Southeast Asia, we start importing them from Mexico and Canada. And what you see, what Trump saying before he comes into office, 25% increase of tariffs on Canada and Mexico. It means that it's going beyond nearshoring. He wants production processes to be reshored inside the US. So a lot of jobs that are dependent on American markets, apart from things like coffee and so on, are going to be lost.
But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murders allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. Defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
Now, thank you so much for watching. And I'm just here to say a few things. So now, Donald Trump has been very vocal against some issues in the society. I do not agree with him on many things, especially most of his policies, but I normally admire his courage to, tell you off when you say something wrong or you do something wrong. So the UN General Assembly was just the other week, and Trump put it very clear to the African leaders that it's no longer the responsibility of United States to support or to protect the borders of other countries, like the border between Kenya and Somalia, that has seen a lot of wars and instability around that area. But instead, he is saying that they are going to focus more energy to secure United States. As we all know, right now the US is going through a difficult time, and it's going through a transition period. And a lot of these African leaders do not want to accept this information. Trump has been vocal and is putting it clearly as it should be. All the African countries should sustain themselves and try and find a way of working out their ways without depending so much on the USA. Many leaders in Africa, it's not a lie or it's not false that there are no resources in Africa to take care of these issues. There's a lot of money, there's a lot of resources, only that only a few people benefit from this. And the leaders embezzle them to different accounts instead of using them for the designated purposes. So this is a good move, and it's a wake-up call for African leaders to stand for themselves. And thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for that. I do not agree with him on a lot of things, but on speaking truth and being honest, I think he does it on issues like LGBTQ, and issues like this. He's been very vocal about that, and that's really commendable about that. So thank you so much for watching. I noticed that 99% of my viewers have not subscribed, and I'm requesting you to please take a minute to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.